Hello there everyone, it's Maureen Nightingale here again from Yoga Therapy Ireland. You're most welcome to episode 8, would you believe, of our yoga taster sessions. So I hope you're enjoying them so far and thank you for watching in. Today our focus is going to be about balance and balancing. And balance in a yoga perspective, we talk about balance of body, mind, breath, but also balance of other things as well. So we balance all aspects of ourselves: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. We also balance things like heat and coolness. We balance female energies with male energies within ourselves. We balance sun energy, we balance moon energy. So we balance all aspects of ourselves, and of course when we do our yoga practice itself, we balance the left side and the right side of the brain, because we make sure and we do all our postures or whatever we're doing to both sides. So that's one aspect of balance. Balancing is a different aspect, where today we are going to focus on some balancing movements. And balancing is really important to us all, especially as we get older. You know yourselves that, and you know people who fall over as they get older, have accidents, break bones. And so when we perform balancing postures, this really improves our balance, as you would expect. The amount of mental focus that it takes to maintain our balance, first of all, brings us into a very meditative state, and that meditative and focused state allows us to really concentrate on improving our balance. So today's practice is about balance and balancing. So again, the reminder that you'll need your yoga mat. Today you might actually need maybe a chair as a prop, or you might need to be relatively close to a wall, particularly if your balance is anyway wobbly today for whatever reason. Reminding you too that if you have any particular health issues, that you do need to take care, be mindful. Again, because I can't see you, you just need to do everything at your own pace and within your own comfort level. So if you're ready, we're going to begin, and we're going to begin from standing. So in your own way, just get up onto your feet, onto your mat, and we'll just shake out a little bit, as we have done in the past, just shaking out your feet, shaking out your hands, shaking out your legs, and your arms, shrug out your shoulders, and do as much shaking and wiggling about as you can just for a moment, and then just come to a place of stillness to begin. And then as you become still and you stand to your full height, we pick a focus point. So you look straight ahead at something in front of you that you know isn't moving, and that will help keep your balance and help you focus and concentrate. So picking that spot of focus, we're going to just begin by warming up the feet. So we're going to tip the toes of the right foot forward and tip them back, and again tip them forward and tip them back. You might want to, if you're using your chair as the prop, put your hands on the backrest, or you might want to put your hands on your hips maybe. So you're tipping the toes of the right foot forward. This time you're going to tip them back, but you're going to turn the front foot down onto the floor. And again, toes forward, toes back but down onto the floor. And now toes forward, and this time see if you can lift that leg out behind a little bit, and see then if you can lift it forward a little bit and stand the foot down on the floor. Let's do that on the other side. So tipping the left foot forward, the left toes back onto the toes, the left toes forward. This time turn the toes down onto the floor, stretching the front of your foot, and then toes forward, and then see if you can lift that left foot out behind, and then see if you can lift the left foot out in front, and then stand the foot back down on the floor. Well done. So a few weeks ago we did our tree pose, so we're going to try that again, and again you might need your chair just to help you. But when we do our tree pose, we stand on one leg, so you keep your focus of attention on your spot in front. We're going to stand on the left foot, we're going to pick up the right foot. We take the right foot to one of three places depending on what's comfortable for you. So either to ankle bone level, to calf level, or if you're very steady on your feet, lifting the foot right up into your groin. So again, I'm going to choose the mid-range for today. So placing the foot just at calf level. Again, the hands can be on the hips on your chair, or we can take the arms out wide to the sides, or we can lift them up overhead. And we'll just see if we can focus on this for a breath or two, standing as steadily as we can, keeping our concentration on that spot in front. And then as soon as you need to come down, bring the arms down, step the right foot down, and we'll do that on the other side. So again, pick the most comfortable spot for yourself, either foot at ankle joint level, turning the kneecap out to the left, placing the foot maybe perhaps up on the calf if that suits. And again, if you're very steady and you know you're very strong, foot right up into the groin. So again, I'm going to keep the middle spot for myself for today. Hands can be on the hips, out wide to the sides, or up overhead, whichever you choose. So just for variation, I'm going to put my hands on my hips and see if we can keep our balance just for a moment more. Keeping that left kneecap pointing out to the left, keeping the hips as level as we can. And then when you're ready, stand that left foot down. Just shake out your feet there for a second. That's it. Shrug out the arms again, shrug out the shoulders. So now we're going to step the right foot across the left foot on the floor. So the knees are quite close together. The feet are, as I say, right foot in front of left, both on the ground at the minute. Hands on the hips, but then we're going to bend the knees. So when you bend your knees, you can see hopefully from my feet that my left heel is on the ground, but my right heel is no longer on the floor. We're going to see if we can either keep hold of the hips or hold the chair if you have one. And then we're going to see if we can lift that right foot off the floor and tuck it in as close to your left leg as you can. Stand still for a breath or two or maybe more. And then we'll undo that and stand the foot down. So let's do that on the other side now. So standing this time on the right foot. Again, the hands can be on the hips or the hands out on the chair if that suits better. So crossing the left foot over the right, knees stay quite close together, and then keep your gaze focused on that point, that concentration point, helping to steady yourself there. And as you exhale, then you bend both knees, keeping the knees close. That's it. And when you bend both knees, again, depending on how you're feeling, you can explore lifting that left foot off the floor and tucking it in as close to that standing leg as you can. And just holding that for a breath, or maybe two or maybe more, depending on how well you're feeling. And then release your feet to the floor and again shake them out, shrug out the arms, shrug out the shoulders. So one more now from standing. And again, you may need the chair depending on how you're going. So, and again, you could use your belt as well if you have it handy, but if you don't, it doesn't matter. We can modify it as we go along. So we're going to stand on our right foot, still keeping our gaze focused out in front on a spot that's not moving. We're going to see now if we can lift the left foot up behind us and see if we can catch hold of the foot in our hand. Now you might find that that's too much for you. You mightn't be able to catch hold of your foot at all. It doesn't matter. If you can't catch hold of your foot, just lift the foot up and think of pointing the kneecap down. And that's as much as you might be able to do. And that's perfect because it still stretches the front of your thigh and it still gives you that feeling of challenging your balance. So left foot up behind, kneecap of the left knee pointing downwards insofar as you can, right hand on right hip, standing still, chest wide open. If you're a little more adventurous, if you want to go further, you can lift that right arm up and still remain steady and strong in your standing leg. Reach up into your right hand and lengthen down the right side of your body. As you exhale, lower that right arm, step the left foot down. Wonderful. And then you're going to stay as you are. I'm going to turn to the other side so that you can see what I'm doing. So again, the choice is for yourself. Hands on the hips to begin. Concentrate on your focal point there in front of you. When you're ready, stand steadily into your left foot. Pick up your right foot. Lift the foot up into your hand if that's appropriate. Otherwise, again, that other option that I was showing you is maybe more for you. So holding the right foot in your right hand, Left hand on left hip to begin, point the right kneecap down. And just breathe here and just get yourself steady in your standing foot. And then if you want to go that little bit extra, we'll take the left arm up and steady ourselves as we focus on a spot in front. And then relax that left arm down and stand the right foot down. Good, well done. So we're going to come back down onto the floor now. So take your time and just get down in your own way. And just take a second, sit back on the feet, stretch the arms out and just lengthen your spine. Take a breath or two in that position, and then when you feel ready, we'll come up onto the hands and knees. And you remember from previous classes that when we come up onto the hands and knees to balance like this, we need to have the wrists underneath the shoulders, we need to have the knees underneath the hips, and then the feet are resting behind. So let's just sway the hips a little bit to ease them out. And then when we sway them a little bit, we'll circle them. So a few circles in one direction, and then a few circles in the opposite direction. Perfect. And then when you have done that, you come back to your tabletop position and you think of your spine now in a straight line from head to tail end. And we're going to use the breath in to lift and stretch the right leg up and back, and to extend the left arm out in front, and then balance on the other two limbs. Exhale, lower those limbs, and then do it on the opposite side. So again, using your breath, inhaling, lift the left leg, lift the right arm, exhale where you are, breathe where you are. And then when you're ready, lower those limbs back down to the floor. So we're going to do that maybe twice more, just to get that sense of flowing with your breath, but also to concentrate on your balance. So breathing in, lifting right leg, left arm, breathing out, release, breathing in, lifting left leg, right arm, breathing out, release. And if you need to breathe in the meantime, please do that. Don't let your breath stay, as in don't hold your breath. So inhaling, lifting right leg, left arm, release. Inhaling, lifting left leg, right arm, and release. And slowly again, just sit back onto your feet, lengthen your spine, relax. And then come back up onto your hands and knees, sway the hips once again, making sure that your wrists now are underneath your shoulders. So we're going to take a long step back with the right foot. Tuck the toes under so that your knee is off the floor. When you do that, feel your chest moving slightly forward through your arms. Think of the crown of your head and the base of your spine in the same line. So let that go. Knee down to the floor, change sides, step back, toes of the left foot turned under, chest moving slightly forward through your arms, and then just make sure that you're not overstretching your arms. Sometimes people have very flexible joints, and when they place the hands like this, the creases of the elbows turn forwards. We want the creases of the elbows to face in towards each other. Release the knee. Step back once again with the right foot. And guess what's coming next? We're going to step back as well with the left foot. So we're going to balance now on the hands and the feet and see if we can take a breath or maybe more. And then release the knees, release the feet, and sit all the way back. Again, just stretching out your spine and just taking a moment there for yourself. So we're just going to extend that plank now to something a little bit more challenging, and you can explore this or you can build up to it in your own time. So we'll come to the hands and knees, and the way I'm going to teach it for today is just to place your elbows down on the floor. So forearms and elbows down on the floor. So that creates that kind of lift of your tail end up into the air for the minute. So we're going to keep the elbows on the floor, but we're looking to get the elbows underneath the shoulders. For now, we're going to interlace the fingers and just move the elbows in a little bit more if we can. And then again, we're going to step back with the right foot, knee off the floor, toes turned under. That's it, take a breath. Let's do that on the other side. So stepping back now with the left foot, toes turned under. Whoops. And then lower the knee. So now we're going to step back with the right foot. Think of your chest moving forward. Think of the elbows anchored in the ground now, and really focus your attention on your hands, on your knuckles. Another breath in, and as you breathe out, step back with your left foot as well and press the floor away with your elbows and your toes. Release your knees, send your hips back to your feet again, and rest. Taking a couple of breaths now where you are. Relax your body. Relax your hips down towards your feet. Well done. So from here then, we're going to turn in towards sitting on the feet, sitting on the tail end and stretching the legs out. Just give the legs a little tap, a little roll in and outwards. So a moment ago on hands and knees we were in what we call tabletop position. So again, looking at balancing, we're going to have a look at reverse tabletop position, which you could imagine is just the opposite to hands and knees. So we're going to place the feet on the floor. We're going to place the hands on the floor just slightly behind the hips. It depends on the length of your body and the length of your arms as well. So you might have to explore the positioning for yourself. You can have your fingers pointing forwards, or you can turn the fingers back, whichever suits. As long as you're comfortable, as long as your joints feel strong in whichever position you choose. So I'm going to keep my fingers pointing forwards for the minute, and then I'm going to press down actively into my feet and hands, and I'm going to slide my bottom forward till it lifts off the floor, and then send the belly button up towards the ceiling as much as you can, so that you're creating a kind of a tabletop position here. On the exhale, slowly come down. Now this might take you a couple of goes because it's kind of strong on your arms, but it's good for building your bone strength in your wrists and your ankles. So let's just do that one more time. So feet need to be really planted into the floor so that you feel as if you're standing into your feet. Hands just slightly behind the hips, and then you literally press down into your feet, down into your hands, broaden and lift your chest. Slide your bottom forward towards your heels, lift your tail end off the floor just as far as you can, and it might only be that much, and that's perfect. But as you get used to it, you press more actively into your feet and you lift your belly button towards the ceiling, and then slowly come down. Drape your arms around your legs and just bring your head forward towards your knees, and that just allows your shoulders to relax after that kind of weight bearing balance in reverse tabletop. So when you have explored that for yourself and you've maybe built it up to lifting your hips right up and your belly button towards the ceiling, you can take that a little bit further too. So I'll just show you, and then again you can decide when the right time occurs for you to try this. So we stretch the legs out and we take the flesh of the bottom out of the way just so that we're sitting on our sitting bones and sitting up nice and tall. Again, we take the hands into the same position as last time. So hands down on the floor, either fingers pointing forwards or back depending on what you prefer. And then we're again going to press down into the hands to broaden and lift up the chest, so you have this nice openness down the front. And then to create the balance, we're going to concentrate on a point in front of us. We're going to press down into the heels now as well, and between pressing into the hands and down into the feet, then we're going to lift the hips off the floor, lift the belly button towards the ceiling, point the toes forward if you can, and just see if you can take that for a breath, and then lower yourself back down. Relax your arms, shake out your hands a little bit. Sometimes if the wrists are a little bit uncomfortable or you're not used to taking the weight on your hands, the wrists can talk to you a little bit. But of course it's like anything, the more you practice something, the more you build up the strength to do it. So again, we'll just do that one more time. So hands just behind the hips, spread the hands out, spread the palms out, press down into the hands and lift and open and broaden your chest. And then on your next inhale, press down into the heels as well and see if you can lift your bottom off the floor. Keep lifting, keep lifting, keep lifting. Point your toes forward, look towards the ceiling, take a breath, and then exhale, lower your hips down, release your hands, shake them out. That's it. And then just swing the legs round to one side or bring the legs round in your own way. Come back to your tabletop position. And once you come back to your tabletop position, again, just sway the hips a little bit from side to side. That's it. A little circling in each direction. And then we're just going to finish off with dog stretch, dog pose, where we tuck the toes underneath and then we're going to balance on the hands and the feet. So ideally now we're going to lift the knees off the floor on the exhale. If you have any particular issues with your blood pressure, this is fine to do, but just not to hold it for too long. So you use your breath out to lift your knees off the floor, send your hips back as far as you can, lifting your hips right up then. Knees are bent or straight, depending on how your hamstrings, how your back is. Let's take a breath or two here if you can. For anybody that wants to explore a little bit more of this, you can balance on 3 limbs by lifting one leg up, step it down, and the other one, and step it down, lower the knees, release the feet, curl right down now into the pose of the child, resting your forehead on the floor. And you're going to rest there just for a couple of breaths now. And as you rest, you focus on releasing and relaxing and letting your hips sink back towards your feet. Pay attention to your breath and just stay in this pose until your breath has returned to what's normal for you. And then when you feel that your breath has returned to what's normal for you, then just very slowly uncurl from your child pose. And then let's come to lying down on the floor. So lie down on the floor and you can choose either to lie with your legs fully extended or your knees bent, whichever you feel is most comforting for your back. So if you're having the knees bent, you let the knees rest one against the other and you take the feet out wide. Otherwise, you take the legs out straight. Allow the feet to roll outwards, arms away from your sides in both cases. Shoulder blades flat, close your eyes. So we'll just take a final couple of moments now just to relax, to pay attention to your breathing for a moment or two, and to allow the weight of your body to sink down. And each time you exhale, and we're familiar with this now, where with each exhalation you're looking to encourage and invite your exhalation to lengthen a little bit more. So each time you breathe out, concentrate on letting your belly button soften back a little further towards the back of your waist. And each time it does that, it encourages the breath out to lengthen. And of course, as we've said before, when the out breath lengthens, the breath in also lengthens, deepens, slows down. And that brings you right inside into your quiet place. And you're going to rest in your quiet place for as long as you want, taking as many minutes, as many moments as you would like to spend. And as always then, when the time is right, only when you feel it's time is ready, you then start to encourage your body to move. Pardon me. You think of wriggling your toes and your fingers and stretching your legs and your arms. And then you continue to move in a more active way until such time as you can bring your knees in over your chest, hugging your legs nice and close. Have a little rock from side to side. And then in your own way, can you roll over onto whichever side is easy for you? Use your hands then to help yourself up to a more upright position and sit with your legs just easily crossed in front of you. So to bring our short practice to a close for today, we'll extend the arms out wide. We'll inhale and lift the arms up overhead. Bring the palms together and bring the hands then down to your chest. Allow your head to bow forward slightly. Take a moment just to check in with yourself. How are you now? Do you feel a little bit more balanced? And then when you're ready, just rub the hands together, cover your face and eyes, blink into the palms of your hands before you remove the hands from your face. So thank you for joining me today. I wish you a happy day, an enjoyable day.